So can everybody hear me now? Awesome. Let me know if I get too loud or animated. Today we're talking about improving your credit score. And Helen already hit on some of the reasons why credit's important. We'll dig a little deeper in a second. But our agenda for today, we're going to talk about how do you pull your credit report for free. And when I say for free, I mean like really, really free. We're going to practice reviewing a credit report. That's when I want to make sure you're sitting in a place where you can see. It's kind of dark in the back, so if you need to move down, we're going to team up and actually practice reviewing a credit report in our workshop today. 1 in 4 of us have errors on our credit report. So I'm going to teach you today how you dispute those errors and get them corrected. Then we're going to talk about what goes into your credit score, and then we're going to finish with developing a plan to build, rebuild, or manage your credit. Does that sound like a pretty good agenda for today, y'all? Good. This works better if it's interactive. So if you say good or yes, that's awesome. If you nod, that means you're with me. That's great. I've given you some goodies today. Everybody get a pen? All right. You get. Well, we didn't get a pen. Where's Lance and Brian? These guys. All right. We good. If you didn't get a pen, raise your hand, because then I don't want you to say we didn't give you anything, right? We also got you yellow packets. Why are the packets yellow if we're talking about credit? So you can remember? Good. Why else? Say it again. Good score, yellow. Good guess. I've never heard that guess. Okay, you saw your colors on credit. You're like, good, all right, yellow is better than red. When you're going up to a stoplight and you see yellow, what do? Caution, slow. Don't speed up. Caution, slow down. And that is on purpose, y'all. When it comes to credit, I want you to approach with caution and slow down, because there are some people out there and some companies that are willing to take your money to do things when it comes to improving your credit that you can do yourself for free. There's also a lot of misinformation about credit, and hopefully we're going to clear a lot of that up today. So the only other thing I've given you, did everybody get a clicker? All right, raise your clicker up if you got one. We're going to play some Jeopardy in class today. There is no math in my class. Yay! Anybody excited about that? No math? Good. All right, so no math, but we are going to play some Jeopardy. And the way your clicker works, y'all, when you have an answer, you click your button, the corresponding number on your button, and you aim it. This is going to be kind of tricky. You're going to aim it kind of over your head, because the computer up there has a little doohickey that will record your answer in real time, and it's totally anonymous. So if you don't know the answer, just guess. This will flash green if it works. If it flashes red, let me know, because that means the battery's dying on it. But if it flashes green, it works. And unfortunately, this will not change your channel on your remote. It will not work your garage door opener. Unfortunately not. So let's go ahead and start with those clickers. If you've got one, go ahead and pull it out. If you don't, and you're close to somebody that does, kind of whisper and help them out with the answer. You can team up and work together. The first question I've got for you, credit does not affect our savings rates, insurance premiums, renting, or employment. And if you were paying attention to what Helen says, you should be able to eliminate a couple of these. So again, click it, 1, 2, 3, or 4, aim it kind of upstairs, and it should flash green for you. Is anybody's clicker flashing red? Everybody's turning green. We've got 23 responses, 24. We should be up to 25. Has anybody not clicked in yet or not gotten a green flash? Try it again. You got it. That's green. You're good to go. All right. All right. Are we up to, what's the magic number there? 25? Good. All right. So let's see what the most popular answer was. We had kind of a split decision here. Y'all want to know what the right answer is? Savings rates. So let's talk about that. Now what that means is regardless of your credit score, you can go into your bank or your credit union regardless of your credit score, and get that 0.001% they're paying on savings rates, right? Now, car insurance, homeowners insurance, life insurance, the lower your credit score, the more you pay for those things. Renting. Anybody tried to rent an apartment lately? A lot of landlords pulling credit reports, deciding whether or not to rent to folks based on their credit score, charging more of a deposit based on the score. Employment. Used to be the only employers that cared about your credit was if you were going to work for the federal government or a bank. Y'all, we see it across manufacturing. We see it across, I work for a nonprofit. We pull people's credit reports and have had to turn people down based on their credit score. I can do a whole nother class on whether that's fair or not, but y'all are here to get a good education, to go get a good job, and I don't want credit to be an obstacle for that. The next question, your credit score includes your income, your debit card, your available credit, or all the above. Again, you're going to click 1, 2, 3, or 4. Just aim it at the computer and it will record your answer. Y'all are getting faster with those clickers. Watch out, Alex Trebek. Here we come. All right, so we're waiting on 3 responses. 2, 1, like the end of a football game. All right, everybody double click until you get that green flash. Still waiting on that 25th response. Anybody's clicker not working, not flashing green for them? Don't be shy. You can mash down on it. Go ahead and click a 3rd time. There we go. We got everybody in there. All right, so I just learned something about this group. 68% of you said all the above. That means y'all are good test takers, because you know if you see all the above, it's usually the right answer. In this case, it is not. The correct answer is available credit. So let's talk about that. Income does not go into your credit score. I like that because I don't make very much money. I work for a nonprofit organization, right? So that is not factored in. Your debit card, every time you swipe your debit card, they don't report it to the credit bureau. Available credit means, let's say I go to, bless you. Let's say, where can we get credit cards from? Give me a bank we can pick on. Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo gives me a $300 credit card. And I max it out. I charge up $299.99. Do I have any available credit? No, and that's hurting my score. Having some available credit will help my score, and we'll talk more about that when we get to the score. What website can I go to pull my credit report? freecreditreport.com, creditscore.com, annualcreditreport.com, or freecreditscore.com. 1, 2, 3, or 4. All right, we're waiting on a couple responses. Man, y'all are getting fast with these clickers. Okay, a little bit of a split decision here. It looks like, about a third of the group said annualcreditreport.com. If you said annual credit report, that is correct. Anybody have an experience with any of those other websites? Okay, is it really free? Okay, you have to sign up for something, you have to enroll. You get a bunch of follow-up emails. Sometimes they charge your debit or credit card $1, and you have to cancel it. Y'all know what that's called when somebody tells you something's free and charges you for it? A lie, false advertising, a scam, right? A lot of those companies are actually getting sued and having to settle with folks because they're leading them on and saying it's free. There's only one place the federal government says you can get your credit report for free every 12 months, and that's through annualcreditreport.com. So I'm just curious, how many folks have pulled their credit report themselves, not a car dealer or a banker or a family member, you yourself in the last 12 months? If you haven't, click 2. If you have, click 1. Don't click 3 or 4 on this because it will not work. All right, we're waiting on 2 responses, 1 response. All right, everybody double click. Again, you're trying to click 1 or 2 here. There we go. All right, so 2/3 of you have not. What is your homework assignment if you have not? Pull your credit report. Excellent. Like you needed more homework, but this is good. This is important homework. And that takes me to page 6 in your packet. If everybody will take a second, and you can put your clicker down for a few minutes, turn to page 6 in your packet, in that first paragraph. I'd like for you to circle, highlight, underline, put stars next to it. Annualcreditreport.com. The website's so important, we list it twice in the first paragraph. Y'all, I want you to tell your friends, I want you to tell your neighbors, your coworkers, your fellow classmates about annualcreditreport.com. If you're into tattoos, this can be your next tattoo. It's that important because they don't share this information, but the federal government says if you want to see all 3 of your real credit reports every 12 months for free, this is the website you go to. And y'all know what happens when you Google stuff, right? It can take you to 25 other websites other than the one you're looking for. So I took a screenshot. I wanted everybody to see what it should look like. And if you can see in the left-hand corner up there where it says HTTPS, does anybody know what that S means? Secured. It means you're about to enter your personal information and you want to make sure it's protected. So this website you're going to go to looks just like this. You're going to click on this red button. It's going to take you to a page that looks just like that again, and you are going to click on a red button. And then you're going to fill out all your personal information. And y'all, it's got one of those funky codes at the bottom. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the CAPTCHA codes? Do your best with those, but keep in mind it's all capital letters. So put in all capital letters, do your best, and don't, with that code, don't click enter. Click the red button at the bottom, because if you click enter, it's going to think you want to hear that code, and if your computer doesn't have speakers on it, you're going to have to shut it down and start all over. So just a little tip there. Then it's going to take you to a page that says, which report do you want to pull? Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion? And what's the right answer? Good. Everybody saying all 3. Excuse me, all 3. Because, I'll give you an example. So I had a Capital One card a long time ago that only reported to Equifax. When I pulled TransUnion Experian, I didn't see that account on there. So you want to make sure you're getting your full credit picture. So you go ahead, you pull all 3. If you're at your own computer, save it and print it out. So you have a hard copy and a saved copy. Want you to review it right there online. And by the way, this is every 12 months. So you can't do it like December 31st and January 1st. But does everybody here live in the state of Georgia? Anybody commute over from another state? All right. Don't tell your friends in South Carolina or Florida, but in the state of Georgia, we can actually get additional free credit reports every year for free. So you get the first 3 through annual credit report. And then after that, everybody look a little further down the page where it's got Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion's phone number. So by federal law, we get all 3 through annual credit report. But if you want to check in more, you don't have to pay for credit monitoring services in the state of Georgia. I know our banks are so nice now, they only charge us $15 to do that. Well, guess what? You can keep $15 in your pocket, and you get an additional 2 rounds of each credit report yourself for free by calling the credit bureaus directly, letting them know you live in the state of Georgia and our state law says you get an additional 2 rounds. If you're counting those up, that's a total of 9 reports a year you can get yourself for free. Any questions about how to pull your credit report? Question, please. You can do it every year. That's a great question. I don't know if you could hear, but you can do it. Can you do it every year, or is there a time limit on that? The federal law, you do every 12 months. The state law, again, every 12 months, and it restarts every year.
She wants to know how you start her credit.
I do not have no credit.
All right, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Then anybody else curious how you build credit from scratch? Good. All right. Well, don't leave early then, because we're going to talk about it. All right. So there are 5 parts to your credit report. What I want you to do right now is pair up with somebody. Grab a teammate, grab one other person in this workshop. If you're sitting alone, kind of lean over, get together. I know it's difficult, you may have to move, but this is really important because I don't want you to review a credit report for the first time by yourself for free. So I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes to get into teams of 2, and yes, you can work in teams of 3 if you're really dying to work with several other people, because we're going to review a credit report in groups. Ready, set, go. You got 2 minutes to get in a group with somebody else. At least one other person. We don't want anybody sitting by themselves. Thank you for moving, those of y'all that are. You guys want to, do you mind somebody hook this guy up? Maybe move over with her. You guys cool? Oh, he's coming in. Nice. Look at that. From the back, flying in. All right. You guys mind? You have a teammate? Helen, do you have somebody to work with? We don't want you isolated, y'all. All right, all right. So does everybody have a teammate? All right, so in your team, I want you to assign one person to be the writer, to write down all the answers to your questions. The second person is going to be the spokesperson, so assign roles in your group. Who are the writers and who are the spokespeople? Y'all hash it out, hash it out. You guys in the back okay? Y'all got them? All right, so raise your hand with the hand you write with if you are a writer. Any left-handers, folks in the room? Where are my left-handers? Man, there is. All right, thank you. All right, so spokespeople, raise your hand and say yes. Yes. All right, y'all are already doing a good job. So there are 5 parts to your report. If you will turn over one page, it starts on page 7, goes to 8, 9, and then 10. So it's 4 pages, front and back. Y'all, this is an actual Experian sample report. So you are going to practice reviewing these 5 different sections in your team, in your group. And these are the 5 sections: personal information, public record, collections, credit accounts, and inquiries. So I'm going to ask you 5 different questions about this report. And you're going to find one answer in each one of the 5 sections. Does that make sense? So let's review the questions together. And I'm going to give you hints about it, so pay really close attention. And then we'll take 3 to 5 minutes and actually review our first report for some of us. So the first question I have for you is, what personal information items are listed for John Q. Consumer? Now the hint, don't look at it yet. The first question, the first hint I have for you is, it is not on page 7. So you're going to have to flip around for this report. Don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. I'm going to leave these questions up. The second question, the answer I'm looking for is a straightforward yes or no. And the question is, has the public record been paid? There's one public record on this report. Has it been paid? Yes or no? The third question I have for you, I'm looking for a number. There's one collection account on this report. I want to know what the recent balance is. In other words, how much is owed right now. The last 2 get a lot of questions about. There are 2 types of credit accounts in general. What are the 2 types? The last question, there are 2 types of inquiries that you can have on your report. Which one affects your score? Any questions before we get started? So you're going to review these 5 questions, circle or write down the answers using the report you have in front of you. Ready, set, go. And y'all, I'm wandering around if you have questions. Don't be shy. Y'all, let's take 2 more minutes. If we can finish up in 2 minutes. Y'all done?
Is Ace a yes or no?
All right, let's take 1 more minute. If you can finish up with the one you're on.
We can get our annual credit report.
All right, so which group would like to answer when we do the 5 sections? The first place I want you to go to is personal information. Who would like to answer what items or what type of items you see under personal information? Don't be shy. Your hand went up first. Thank you so much. Give us some examples, and y'all listen up and see if they're right and see if their group missed anything or you'd like to add anything. Please.
Okay, you have his name.
Mm-hmm.
You have where he lived.
Okay.
All the places that he lived.
Uh-huh.
You have the year that he was born.
Okay.
His spouse or whoever he co-applicant that he's with, where he worked, the telephone number for that. I'm taking to the house.
Mm-hmm.
What his names were, how he goes by.
Good.
It wasn't just one name.
Yep.
He had it shortened for work or something like that.
Good. Good. Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Did they miss anything?
Oh, Social Security.
Okay. And it's actually, take a look where it says Social Security variations. That's really interesting. Most of us should not, like 99% of us should not have any variations of our Social Security number. Y'all, the reason I have you start in the personal information section, this is the easiest place to review, right? Everybody can recognize their name and their address. So if you're new to credit or you just want to, make sure everything's accurate, 1 in 4 of us have errors. Guess where most of the errors are? Personal information, misspelled names, addresses that aren't yours. Look, there might be I'm Richard Reeve. There might be a Richard Reeve out in California. I pull my credit report and I see his address on there. I need to correct that. I don't want that to happen. So great job there with this group. Good work. So the next question I'm looking for is the public record paid. Yes or no? All right, that hand went up over there. I'm coming. Yes or no? Shout it out for us. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. Can I ask how you knew that? Is she right? Is she right?
Yeah.
Yes, good. All right, how'd you know that?
It says, yeah, it says civil claim paid.
Good. She said, thank you. This group is right. They said status, civil claim paid. Civil claim paid. And so our next thought is, wait a second, what kind of things are listed under public record? And don't get nervous. Your unpaid parking tickets will not show up there, right? Overdue library books, not under public record. This is anything that's financial, that's negative, that goes through the court system. So here I'm talking about repossessions, bankruptcies, tax liens, unpaid child support, foreclosures, and judgments. And if you're not familiar with judgments, that's when somebody sues you for financial reasons. Now, how long can negative items stay on our report? Good. It's actually about 7.5 years. They give them a 6-month kind of window there. But there are exceptions to that rule. Chapter 7 bankruptcy is going to be on there for 10.5 years. Judgments, so when somebody sues you, are on there for 10 years and can be renewed for another 10 years. So most of y'all are young, and that means like it could be on there from your age to my age, which is a long period of time, believe it or not. It's been a long time since I've been in school. So the reason I have you go to public record next, it's a big priority debt. If you owe something under public records and you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, you want to get certain types of loans, it has to be paid. But it doesn't mean it's coming off right away. What about if I owe student loan debt or the IRS? How long is that staying on there? A long time. Good answer. Forever, right? It's the federal government, y'all. They can take your money without your permission. It's a big priority debt. So anything under public record is you need to make a payment arrangement, make sure it gets paid. Any questions about the first?
Pay off like an IRS, like a tax debt, does it still stay on your credit report?
Yeah, so how long do negative items stay on our credit report? 7.5 years plus. If it's a state tax lien, it's going to be on there for 15 years. But it's better to have it paid than still have an amount owed.
State tax is 15 and federal is...
Federal's like, we're the federal, we don't care, we'll just take all your money. Yeah. But it's once you resolve it, and y'all, typically it's 7.5 years from the date of first major delinquency, which that takes us right to the collection account. So I don't want to jump on their toes. Who would like to answer what the collection recent balance is? Which group? Please, let's hear it. $95, are they right? Yes, they are. So let's talk about that. What page is that on, y'all? Page 8. If you look at the top of page 8, it's main collection agencies. And what was that bill originally? It was $95, but who was the original creditor? Televised cable company. So I'm going to put cable companies, utility bills, medical bills, all in apartment complexes, all in the same category when it comes to our credit. You're paying them on time, they're not reporting it to the credit bureau. You go late, they send it to collections, it's on the credit report and it's automatically a negative. So anything you can do to keep a collection account off your report, I want you to do it. Now, the reason it's very specific, I want everybody to circle where it says recent balance on that report. Because when you pull your credit report, it may be, man, Equifax is could be 85 pages. And you pull it and you're reviewing it and you're so overwhelmed and confused. The same account has been sold, it's a medical bill and it's been sold 6 times. And you're like, who do I owe the money to now? Recent balance. Whoever has an amount under recent balance means that's who you owe today. That will save you a ton of time when you're reviewing your credit report. Questions about collection accounts? So I now have 3 options. Let's say this is my report. I owe this $95 and I owe it. Let's say I had roommates and I was supposed to pay the last bill, or they were supposed to, but it was under my name. Y'all know how that works? So who's responsible? Me. So $95, and I call this main collection agency. And I've got 3 options. The first option is I just wait for it to come off in 7.5 years. Don't pay them. Not a great idea. I don't suggest doing that. The second option I have is to pay them. Now, if I pay them, I want to make sure that I get proof that I owe the debt, if there's any questions about it, and I pay it. Is it going to come off my report? I'm going to ask for it to. I'm going to ask for them to start reporting, but they're under no obligation. Again, back to our 7.5 year rule. That's going to be on there. So my third option is to settle the account. They're typically going to want half. So let's say they want $50. First thing I'm going to do is get that in writing. Because I don't want to send them $50 and then the next week they ask for the other 45. Right? So I get it in writing from it. Then I'm going to pay with a cashier's check or a money order. Everybody in here should have a bank account. I want you to have a credit union or a bank account, but I do not want you giving access to that with a personal check or an auto draft to a collection agency. A lot of them are legitimate companies, but it could be some dude in his basement who now has your credit, your routing number. The third thing I'm going to do is send it certified mail. I want signed receipt requested. I want to make sure they have proof that they signed for it, because those things make up my proof that that's been paid. I'm also going to ask for them to show it paid as agreed or paid in full, even if I settle the account. Any questions about how we handle collectors? So credit accounts. What are the two types of credit accounts we have? Please. Excellent. This group says installment and revolving are the two types of accounts. Well, I said excellent. Are they right? Yes, they're right. That was a good hint when I said excellent. So the two types of accounts work this way. Installment loans work this way. You guys, let's say I'm borrowing $100 from everybody in here. That woke some people up. All right, so you guys give me money in a lump sum, and our agreement is I pay you back every month, same amount, same rate for a year. That is, I'm paying it in monthly installments. What type of loans work that way? Car payments, good. Mortgages, good. Rent's not a loan, that's just a straight up bill. That's a good guess, eh? Loans. We're in a college, what kind of loans? Student loans work that way, right? Every semester you could get a new one, and boom, boom, and they're each one a different loan. So the opposite of an installment loan is a revolving loan. So let's say you guys, instead of everybody giving me $100, you guys give me a line of credit. And if I use it and I pay it off, I can use it again. So that credit line revolves. I can keep going back to it as long as I'm paying it off every time. What kind of loans work that way? Credit cards, department store cards, gas credit cards, right? Those are going to work that way. Excellent. And there are two types of inquiries. What are the two types of inquiry? What's the one type of inquiry that affects my credit score? Somebody I hadn't heard from yet. Please.
Self-initiated.
Self-initiated. I like the way you put that. Self-initiated. Any other ways you could say that? Or how's it listed on there? I think it's a little different. Yeah, viewed by you versus viewed by others. Which one would it be that would affect my score? Viewed by others, good. So anybody ever heard the expression soft hit and hard hit? What I'm asking for here is what's the hard hit? And let me give you examples of hard hits. If I go to a department store today and they offer me a department store card and say, you want to save 10%. All right, what department stores or what places stores will do that? Bell, Dillard's, Missy, look, all of them now, right? Yeah, all right. So you go in there and you say yes, and they're like, don't worry about it. You don't have to get the card. It doesn't affect your score. You don't have to get approved. You just get that 10%. And you're like, yes. It affects your score, y'all. That is a hard inquiry. So initiated by you, that seems pretty passive, right? That's kind of a passive way to do it. Filling out, man, when I was in college, it was every street corner, every campus event. It was like, get a t-shirt, get a Frisbee, you fill something out. That's all you have to do. Well, man, I want a t-shirt. Hard inquiry affects my score. Stays on there for 2 years and lowers my score. Now, anybody get credit card offers in the mail? Okay. Turn back to page 6. This is my second favorite website. My favorite website is annualcreditreport.com. My second favorite is at the bottom of page 6, optoutprescreen.com. Believe it or not, if you get pre-approved offers in the mail, that means companies are reviewing your credit report without your permission electronically to try to figure out if they want to sell you something. A lot of people are like, man, this is America. I don't like that. I didn't authorize that. If you don't like that, don't get fired up. Just go to that website at the bottom of the page, optoutprescreen.com. Take you about 2 minutes online. Opts you out for 5 years by address. So it takes about 30 days to kick in. But if you move, you have to do it again. And you opt yourself out, and then it's by person in the household. So if you have a roommate and they want to opt out, they need to opt out too. Now, let's say you buy your dream home in a few years, and you want to opt out forever. You do it online, then you mail it in. Opts you out forever. If you miss getting all that junk mail 6 months later, you can always opt back in. Any questions about optoutprescreen.com, inquiries, or reviewing a credit report?
Those pre-screens,
They don't affect your score, but they're on there for 2 years, and they're kind of annoying, right? You get junk mail. A lot of people don't like that invasion of privacy. They do. You bet. You bet. They just don't affect the score. Her hand was up first, and I'll come right to you. Helen, please.
Isn't there something that if you opt out and they send you something that they're liable when someone,
You know, I'm not an attorney, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. The question Helen asked was, isn't there some liability there? I would think the liability, if you opted out, and you'll see it when you pull your credit report, it'll say this person has opted out of, you know, those type of opportunities. So the burden really at that point is on the credit bureau to make sure that they're not still selling your information. But what recourse do you have other than maybe a complaint with the CFPB? Consumerfinance.gov is probably my third favorite website. Great way to submit complaints that actually get some resolution. And you had a question, I'm sorry.
You talking about bankruptcies, and you talked about Chapter 7. How long is it for the other one that stays on your credit?
13 is 7.5 years. Great question. Question was, what about, I talked about 7s being 10.5, 13s are the stay 7.5. Other questions about credit reports? All right, so everybody in here has reviewed at least one credit report. Pat yourself on the back. That is fantastic. All right, some people didn't pat. You didn't pat. All right, so what do we do for one of the 4 people that has errors on our report, or 1 out of 4 people? What do we do for in the 25%? Y'all are in school. Are you allowed to copy off people's paper in school? No, good answer. All right, so everybody at Consumer Credit, y'all, we let you copy off our paper. If you turn, I think it's on page 16. Don't hold me to that. Might be 14, but I think it's 16. It should be what page are you on right there? You got it. 14. Y'all, sorry, everybody, it's on 14. There is a sample dispute letter. Now, the nice thing is they let you dispute credit report errors right online right now. So while you're pulling it, you print it, you save a copy, but you see something that doesn't look right, go ahead and dispute that right online. You can call Equifax, Experian directly and TransUnion and start your dispute over the phone. But a lot of people like to have that paper trail. This is your sample dispute letter. Please don't just cut this out and mail it in. I've had people do that. It's not very effective. So you mail it in with any supporting documentation and a copy of your report. And you make it really obvious where the errors are. And you send it certified mail. Costs you a little bit more, but by law, they have 30 days to respond to your dispute. You want to know when they are on the clock. If you have an original creditor you're disputing with, you dispute with the original creditor and with the credit bureau at the same time because you're trying to connect those 2 organizations. Any questions about how you dispute errors? Please.
Somebody applied for a visa in your name, but they got denied, but they applied for
You
it
bet.
and never did it.
The question was, what if I see an inquiry on there that was not me and it was a hard inquiry and somebody, you know, applied for a Visa card in my name? You bet. That is an error and you want to get to the bottom of that. You bet. I would also go back to Visa or whoever the bank was and ask for proof, have them send you proof of that application. And you will see if that's not your information, you have a dispute. You're going to be more successful in that example, disputing with Visa, but I want you to do both. Good question. Please, yes ma'am. Yeah, so it depends on the question is how long does it take for it to be removed? So you typically, they have 30 days to give you a response, but what they will do, if it takes longer than that, sometimes they will come back and say, we have an additional 15 days, we've contacted you. So it could take a little bit longer, but typically most of the errors, if they're pretty straightforward, 30 days.
No more than 45.
Yep, depending on the type of loan. All right, so everybody knows how to review a report, how to pull our credit report for free, and how to dispute errors. Now, we've talked for a while and we haven't even talked about the credit score. Let me say this as a disclosure, a disclaimer about credit scores. There are really good people in the world with terrible credit scores, and maybe some terrible people with good credit scores. It is not personal judgment. It is a 3-digit number based on risk analysis. Based on your past payment history, are you more likely to pay things on time or in full or not? So it's not, it comes from the information on your report. So a lot of people go, well, man, I'm going to go get this high-paying job, and that's going to boost up my credit score. Doesn't work that way. Your income does not go into your score. It only comes from those 5 sections on your report. So if you want to improve your score, you have to improve those sections on your report. So the question came up earlier. Already people are looking on that annual credit report, on this Experian report. Where's my score? Where's my score? Where's my score? So the federal government says you have the right to see your report every 12 months for free, but you have to pay for your score. The only time I want anybody in here to pay for their score is when you are about to buy something. Because knowing your credit score allows you, and the way you get it, the way you get your real credit score is not from your credit card company. It's not through Credit Karma. Those are credit estimator websites you can see for educational purposes only. If you're kind of curious about your range, I'm fine with you using that. Just know they're going to send you a lot of emails. But those estimators are typically about 40 to 80 points off of your real score, up or down. So if you want your real score, you go to myfico.com and you pay $15. The only time you pay $15 is when you're going to buy something, because knowing your score will allow you to comparative shop between cars, between mortgages. Knowing your credit score on a random June day in 2015 either makes you feel better about yourself or worse about yourself for no good reason. Question up here, please.
Whenever you have credit and you go to like buy a car or something and they run your credit, doesn't it make your credit go down?
It does. It's considered a hard hit. It's back to an inquiry. Yes. Did everybody understand your question? So again, that would be a hard inquiry, me shopping for a car loan. But they give me 15 days to shop for like items. So if I'm within that 15 days and I go to one dealership and another dealership and another dealership, that's fine. Just don't let them pull that trick where they pull it, 16 times at one dealership, looking for the best rate. They're not looking for the best rate for you. They're looking for the best deal for them.
So like if
Please.
you're getting pre-approved for a home
Mhm.
loan, do they pull your real credit score?
They do. They do. They pull, when you go to the mortgage world, they actually pull 3 scores, and what they use is your middle score. They don't use your highest, they don't use your lowest, they don't average them, they use the middle between the 3. And that brings up a great point.
With that score difference,
Typically 30 days, but that's up to the lender, and they're really just trying to lock in your rate. But they'll pull it again when you apply for the real loan, and then they'll pull it right before you close, and they'll tell you, do not do any activity between there. Well, I'll tell you. I can tell you a story later. But we all have multiple credit scores. She just asked about when I buy a car. When I buy a house. That's my different score from when I buy a car, from when the landlord pulls it, from when the insurance company pulls it. Everybody in here has got up to 40 different credit scores. So that friend you've got that's going, I got an 825 score. Man, I'm the best. Freak them out. Ask them which one it is. They'll have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Credit Karma said, oh, did you know your score is 40 to 80 points off of that? Huh? So, understand your scores. What goes into them? Helen, how are we doing on time? Helen, how are we doing on time? All right, good. 10 till 1. If y'all need to kind of go, we're going to wrap you up. We're going to have you out of here right at 1. But if you need to leave early, that's fine. So there are 5 different parts to your report. There are 5 things that go into your score. Number one thing, 35% of your score. This is not the most exciting thing to tell people, but people ask me all the time, how do I build credit? How do I manage credit? How do I maintain credit? How do I rebuild it? Borrow money and pay it back on time and in full. That makes up over 1/3 of your credit score. See, I see everybody's face. It's not the most exciting thing to tell people, but that car payment that you're on time with every month, or that student loan payment that you're like, wow, I'm using this to build my credit score. I'm just going to make the interest payment on each month just to build my score. Do they care if I'm on time? Yes, they care that you're on time more than just about anything else you do. The next most important thing at 30%, these are not equally weighted. Most important thing is payment history. Next most important thing is, am I paying off and paying down my debts? And back to that original point, do I have any available credit? Do I have any available credit? And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about revolving accounts. Y'all remember what an example of a revolving account is? Credit cards. So that means if let's say we're all in here, we all have a student loan and one credit card that has a $300 limit on it. And we're on time with both every month, but our credit card, we've got $250 charged up on it. Well, if we all go home today and charge it down to below 30% of that available credit, our credit score will jump. You never want to charge up on any revolving accounts more than 30% of whatever the available credit line is. So even if they give you $1,000, you really don't want to charge up more than about $300. Everybody see that? So for a lot of us, that can help our credit right away. That's 2/3 of our score, y'all. Most important things you can do right there. The next most important, these three are important but not as important. Length of credit history. So you want to keep the same creditors for a long period of time. And when I say creditors, y'all, I'm talking about mainstream financial institutions. Banks and credit unions you've heard of. I'm not talking about finance companies. I'm not talking about rent-to-own places. I'm not talking about title loan companies. Having a finance company on your credit report is a negative. Pay them on time, pay them off, and don't go back to them. You want to keep the same creditors for a long period of time, and this is why I'm not a big fan of balance transfers, because balance transfers shorten your average length of credit history. New applications, I think we beat that one to death enough, right? That's anytime you ask, any hard hits that are on there can reduce your score. It makes up 10% of your score, so it can take a hit. Back to your question. Two types of credit history, or two types of credit. You want to have a balance between revolving and installment. Now don't hear me say, man, I got a student loan and a car payment. I need to run out and get 2 credit cards. That's not the point. The point is overall you want to have a balance between those. Any questions about your score or what goes into it?
Credit cards, when you said to keep it at the 30%.
Yes.
Is it okay to keep it lower than that?
Yes, I love that question. Thank you. It assumes that when I say the 30%, that just assumes you don't go up more than that. I'm totally fine. I mean, credit cards at their best, y'all, are a 30-day interest-free loan. I am 100%, I want you to pay it off every month. I just don't want you to ever go up above that 30%, even if you're paying it off every month. Does that make sense? Please.
So what if we've already went past the 30?
Yeah. Thank you for being honest and asking a good question that I'm sure other people were thinking. What if I'm already over that 30%? The point is, keep paying on time and work every month. Even if you send them $5 extra, whatever it is, work to get below that, at or below that 30%, and you'll actually see it go down a little more gradually. So let's say you can't go home today and pay it immediately down to 30%. Let's say 1 month you're at 99 and you get to 90 and then you get to 75 and then you get to 50. Your score is just going to keep ticking up. That's a really good question. Please.
What are the credit cards that keep increasing your limits? Like you charge up to your limit,
Right.
you end up $1,000
Right.
next time or whatever.
It's a great question. What if they keep bumping up my limit? That's fine. Just know that you don't ever go above whatever 30% of whatever it is they give you at a given time. The 30% rule still stays intact as you're going up.
I got a question.
Sure.
It's probably, these are all young people. I'm on the opposite end of it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I have no debt.
Yep.
So how do I keep, because that was 30%.
All right. So how do you actually kind of take me perfectly to my next point, which is, y'all, we find, and we're going to finish with this. Will you have one more question about the score? All right. Let me, I'm going to come up and answer it, and then I'm about to answer yours with this, so hang tight. Yes, ma'am, please. This counts as a workout for today, y'all, by the way. All right, please.
Okay, say I have like a store credit card and I charge on the card
Yep.
and then I pay it right back off.
Yep.
Does that help the credit?
Yeah, so our question is, I got a store credit card, I use it, helps the payment history. Are you staying below 30% of the available credit? Mm-hmm. Yep, that's good. Keeping the same creditor, no new applications? You bet. Okay. You bet. All right, you're feeling good about things. Good, all right. So I see some folks have to leave, have to go to class. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Just make sure you put the clickers back on the table as you're going. The clickers are the only thing I need back from you. All right, so if you can stick around, I'm going to finish with this. We find that folks, when it comes to credit, folks are in one of 3 categories. Some folks just need to manage the credit they've got. I had a lady that came up to me after one of the workshops and said, I need a secured credit card. I said, okay, well, let me ask you a couple questions. Do you have a car loan? Yes. Do you have a student loan? Yes. Do you have a credit card? I got 3 of them. Does she need a new line of credit? No. For y'all know, she just needs to pay on time with those lines of credit, get those revolving accounts down below the 30%, keep the same creditors, and not get any new inquiries. Does that make sense with managing credit? Pretty straightforward. If you got to build credit, some of us will get approved for and by the way, we see a lot of folks in this category. A lot of young people, we see a lot of good money managers out there that pay cash for everything, but then they go to buy a car or a house and it's like, beep, you don't exist. How do you build credit? Well, if you have student loans, you've got a tool right there to build your credit. You make a payment every month on your student loans, even if it's just that you're able to make that interest, whatever you calculate, whatever it says is your interest to your balance is going over. If you can make that payment every month, that's establishing your payment history. It's paying down your debt. Let's say you don't have any student loans. Well, some of us will qualify for a gas or a store credit card. I don't love those because the interest rate's really high, but if you're just planning on using it once a month to put a tank of gas in your car and pay it off, staying below 30%, that can help establish some credit. Now, some of us can't get that because we just don't have any history of payments. Those of you that are in that category, you start with wherever you have a bank or a credit union, and you talk to them about how do you offer a credit building loan. Some of them offer what's called a secured loan. It's an installment loan. They give you a lump sum, but guess what? The security is you've already put money in savings. So let's say it's $300 or $500 or whatever it is. You're borrowing your own money and showing a payment history by paying it on time every month. You do that for 6 months or a year, and at the same time, if you can have what's called a secured credit card, works the same way, but again, you're borrowing your own money, you don't charge up more than 30%, and every month you're just using those two items to help build your credit. 6 months to a year later, we typically see folks have enough of an increase where they can go out and borrow at pretty prime rates. I don't like the word prime, but main rates. Now, those two items, the first thing you have to do is build up some savings. The second thing you have to do is see if your bank or credit union offers that, and then you have to shop around because there's some really good deals out there on secured credit cards, and then there's some absolute terrible ones. So you have to be cautious. So if I have to build credit, I've got to do one of those things, right? Or both of those things. If I got to rebuild credit, I have to do exactly what the person that has to build credit does, but I got one more step. I've also got to pay off the old debts too. But if I just pay off the old debts, where's my payment history? Where's something that's helping me build history? Where's my available credit? Where's my length of history? I don't have any of that. So I've got to pay off the old and build up the new or the good. So if everybody will pull your clickers out, let's see what we learned. Your credit score includes your income, your debit card, your available credit, or all the above. Remember, this is the one I was able to trick you on before. Try not to get stumped again. Everybody click in until you get the green flash. Not everybody has a clicker now, so what do y'all think? What's the right answer here? I'm hearing it. 3. 94% said available credit. That is correct. Some people can't get over that all the above. I get it. Credit does not affect savings rates, insurance premiums, in renting or employment. Thank you. I like it when people shout out the right answer. Sometimes people shout out the wrong answer in that. All right, we'll wait on a couple more folks to get in there. I think we had 16. There we go. 17. We're getting more people. All right, 100% on that. Good job. What's the website you can go to pull your report? It's on page 6 if you don't know it. Y'all are fast with that. 100%. Awesome. Y'all know what that's called? An A, right? So y'all, on the front of your packet, you have a voucher. Our offices are in Statesboro, Savannah, Hinesville, and Beaufort, South Carolina. I know none of those are particularly close to you, but we do offer phone appointments. We do first-time home buying, building credit. We'll do a free credit review with you. Y'all hear me say free? You have a voucher on the back. They can do it over the phone. We can actually give you your FICO score, your real FICO score for free. It's one of the few ways I know to get it. Any other questions for me? Please.
The medical bills count under debt?
Yes, so medical bills, when they go to collect, if you're paying them on time, you're good. If they go to collections, it's a negative on your report.
Oh, I never had credit.
Well,
I'm
it's,
still paying off bills now.
okay, all right, and we can talk about that. Again, those are things, if you call our office, we're happy to look at your credit with you and talk for some strategies for debt management too. Y'all, okay, I'm going to kind of let everybody go. If you have questions for me, feel free to stick around. But make sure, I think there's still some pizza out there. Make sure you put your clickers up there. Thanks, everybody. I really enjoyed it.
Before they leave, let me ask this one question. Are your services free?
Yes, yes. Is that the right price?